Hi everyone, it's Rachel Kleinman from rwcrafts.com. Today I have a pretty simple and quick art journal page for you. This is going to highlight texture. So you can see I'm starting with a big stencil. This is from the Crafters Workshop. I'm not sure if this stencil is still available, but any stencil in the design that you choose to use will of course work. I am going over the stencil with some Liquitex modeling paste. And I do cut the clip, but I did hit it with my heat gun before I go on to spray it with my Dina Wakley gloss sprays. So I apologize for the clip being kind of cut out here. I had to put it inside a large cardboard box to try and catch all of the paint splatter. So the first blue color that you see is called Mineral. The second color I just did is called Sand. And now the third color, that very light green color, is called Aloe. And then I wanted some more blue, so I went back over in the blue. I also did spray this with some water, so if you ever see in the process of this video just a blue and clear spray bottle, it's just me adding water. So I let it drip a little bit, and I did again hit it with my heat gun to dry it as best as I could before I moved on to the next step. So now what I'm doing is I want to pull out the detail in the texture from the stencil. So by adding some acrylic paint, you can really see those triangle images pop up. So the paint that I'm using is also Dina Wakley, and it's called Marine. It's this beautiful blue color. I'm really diluting it with water. So I did spray it with water first before I picked it up with a brush, and then I also sprayed it with water again on the page. And you can see I used the brush, but then I decided to go a little simpler and just use my fingers to spread that color around. And you could already see that the texture paste was really popping up from the stencil. So now I'm adding some stamps. All of the stamps I'm using are from Unity Stamp Co. They're quite old, but I'll see if they're still available, and of course I'll link them in my description if they are. I'm stamping them onto just plain tissue paper and using some black archival ink. The best way to get a stamped image on top of a textured art journal page is to actually stamp it first on tissue paper, and then you're going to glue that tissue paper onto your page. Because if you were to just stamp directly onto the texture, you probably wouldn't get a very clean image. So you can see I'm stamping a few different flower images onto this tissue paper. I'm hitting it with my heat gun just for a very short amount of time to make sure that the ink doesn't smear while I'm touching it to fussy cut. So you'll see that when you add the tissue paper to your art journal page, the tissue paper kind of melts into the page, but I still want to cut around as best as I can to get rid of any excess that's unnecessary on my page. So I'm just lining up to get an idea of the design flow that I want. And with that, I thought it was missing something. So I actually pulled out this old, it's kind of like a chicken wire. I think that's the best way to describe it. A chicken wire stamp. It's really great texture stamp. And I'm stamping it directly onto my art journal page with some Versamark Tuxedo Black ink. I think Tuxedo Black. I'm trying to remember the name off the top of my head. Oh, it's Onyx Black. I was so close. Onyx Black. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm adding my tissue paper. The medium that I really like to use with tissue paper is from Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft. This medium is called Honey Medium. I really like it because it's very thin. It's not heavy duty like you would need to add thicker paper. It's really the perfect weight for a tissue paper. But of course, anything you have on hand will work. So if you have a thicker gel medium, that's fine. Even if you have like a Mod Podge in your collection, that will always work. So I'm just adding the different tissue papers onto my page, and you can't even see the tissue, you'll only see the stamped image. So this really is the best way to add stamps onto your textured art journal pages. And just the final flowers over on the other side to kind of add some balance. And again, before I moved on, I did hit this also with my heat gun just for a little bit. It doesn't take very long for that gel medium to dry. I thought this image needed to be a little more bold, so I'm going over it with a Faber-Castell Pitt pen. This is just a black Pitt pen, and since it's going over that smooth gel medium, I can spread it around with my fingers before it dries. So Pitt pens are awesome because they're actually India ink inside the pens. Sorry, I'm smiling because my dog is making noise in the background. That's the nature of making these videos. So I thought it was missing just some pop of color, so I'm going to add purple. You can see that I really dilute the paint with not only water, but then I dab it around with a wet baby wipe. This purple paint that I'm using is called Eggplant. It's also from Dina Wakley. And this again is really going to help bring out the texture from that stencil. I wanted some more purple there. And you can see in a few seconds that the clip kind of ends. That's because I thought I was going to add more. Usually I add, like an inspirational quote or stamp to finish out the page, but I really, really enjoyed the simplicity of this page. I thought the texture was really coming out just with what I had already done, and I decided not to go too crazy, and I left it as is. So what you see here is actually the finished product of the page once I finished dabbing in that purple. So it's really a great base layer for any of your art journal pages. I hope this brings you some inspiration for something to do in the future. And here are some up-close photos. Any links that are still available, I will add to the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.